Okay, today we're going to cover how to set up printer properties, which will go into Setup along here with this color print running. Click on Setup and click on Add Properties. Now I've already got some set up here. I've got one for CMYK, CMYK plus white. Third one is for pastels for printing on light colored shirts where you want the black ink to print also. And the last one is highlights. So actually when you print, your white under base goes on down on the shirt first. Then when it comes back to do the CMYK on top, it will also do white again in the white areas that show in the design. So what you'll basically do is go to Setup like I just did. Here's where you can make the name change. You can type in here and just say test and then create the new one. Now here's the new one here. You can go back into Setup and do Setup Properties, or you can go here and double click, and this is where you go in and set up these settings. So these settings here, once you set them, are for going back in and always doing the same settings all the time. So I normally use a 16 by 18 palette, so we'll go right here and change the palette size. Go into Rip. If it's a white shirt, we'll leave this alone. If it's a dark shirt, you click on black. When you click on the black, white ink pops up, so I'll turn that off. You'll see it disappear. If you go back to change it to black, then you go back to white here, and you can click in here and set up your spot channel. So here's where you print your white ink. So your spot color alpha white. These settings here are pretty true. You don't really have to do anything with them. Just make sure it's turned on. If you were to do highlights, here's where you would click the highlights. For this one, we're just going to say no, we don't want to do highlights. And adjustment, you really don't have to do anything. Postscript, you don't have to do anything. Drivers, where you'll make some changes. You'll normally always want to be bidirectional. So the print head, when it goes left to right, it prints both ways. If you're unidirectional, it prints one way and not the other. Passes, normally want to do 4 passes. You can do 6 passes if you like, but normally 4 passes is plenty. And then on your times, your ink, as your CMYK ink goes down, you only want it to go 1 time. Typically on the white ink, you actually say 3 times. And here's your options here. A lot of times where it says processing, middle dot, it could be middle dot or small dot, either one. It's your preference. But when it comes to the white ink, you always want to have it on big dots. So basically that's all you have to do is you click apply or click OK. If you click OK, it also includes apply. Okay, so now that one there would be done. So you actually just go through and set up all your different ones for white ink, white shirts, black shirts, pastels, which means you also want the black ink to print. On typically where it says CMYK-white, that's where you want the white ink to print. The color inks to come down after that, but you really don't need the black to print because you're going to use the black shirt as the base of the black ink. Okay, so that's it for right now. Now what we're going to do is we're going to step into one more thing. We're going to kind of go more into the advanced part of what you can do with these. So we're going to delete this one because we don't need it. Okay, so what we can do is we can go in here and open up a file. I'm just going to bring it in. Now, it just so happens that highlights here is set. But what I can do is I can change that. So basically it came in as highlight, but I'll show you what I'm going to do. I'm going to go to right click. I'm going to move to. When you move to, it gives you the option to pick one of these. I'm going to click it as it's a white shirt, say OK. Okay. Now we go in here. You'll notice that when we click on Rip, it's for a white shirt. But if I go right in here and right click again, move to, and click for black shirt here, click OK. When we check here, it is now set up for a black shirt with all the settings that we need. Okay, that's pretty much how you can set up your shirts when you bring them in. If you have the one selected here, the printer properties, as you bring it in, it's going to follow these values. So it depends on which one you have selected. If you have the wrong one selected, no big deal. All you have to do is right click on here, move the job to the one that you do want, and it will have all the correct settings. Okay. Alright, so one more thing we can do is you could have an artist pre-set up artwork and set it up for you. I'll show you what I mean. I'm going to go ahead and delete this one here. So there is a folder that, as we created all of these are exactly the ones we created. If you look up here, all 4 of these are the same 4 down here. Now, if we have an artist dropping the artwork in for us, I'll show you what I mean by that. Okay, so here's a design here. I can grab this design and drag it over to any one of these 4, and it'll show up on the top part up here. So watch this. I'm going to grab this. I'm going to drop it in as if it's going to be a white shirt, which is this very bottom one. And there it is. If you look over here, CMYK, basically for a white shirt. And if I take that same design and would have dropped it in right there. If I would have dropped it in one of these other ones here, it would have also changed it to there. So this is quite a speedy way for dropping the files in the correct place so that you can just print. So sometimes if you just have a person standing at the printer and you want somebody else taking care of what files go where, whether it's a black shirt, dark shirt, pastel, then you'll just drop it in the folder, they'll grab it from there and print. And that's pretty much it. Bye for next time.